those 70 acres is heavily wooded, and there are dozens of grottos, brushy fields and slopes, rush-rimmed ponds, and other areas simulating natural habitats for some of the zoo's 1,400 animals and birds. Kids, and an occasional grown-up, have gotten lost in there in broad daylight. A thief who knew his way around could hide out on the grounds for weeks without being spotted. I got involved in the case because I was acquainted with one of the commission members, a guy named Fleishhacker. He was an attorney, and I had done some investigating for him in the past, and he thought I was the cat's nuts when it came to detective work. So he'd come to see me, not as an official emissary of the commission, but on his own. The commission had no money left in its small budget for such as the hiring of a private detective. But Factor had made $1 million or so in the practice of criminal law, and as a passionate animal lover, he was willing to foot the bill himself. What he wanted me to do was sign on as another night watchman, plus nose around among my contacts to find out if there was any word on the street about the thefts. It seemed like an odd sort of case, and I told him so. Why would anybody steal hawks and small animals and rattlesnakes, I asked. Doesn't make much sense to me. It would if you understood how valuable those creatures are to some people. What people? Private collectors, for one, he said. Unscrupulous individuals who run small independent zoos, for another. They've been known to pay exorbitantly high prices for rare specimens they can't obtain through normal channels, usually because of state or federal laws protecting endangered species. You mean there's a thriving black market in animals? You bet there is. Animals, reptiles, birds, you name it. Take the preach-eye, the southwestern rattler, for instance. Several years ago, the Arizona Game and Fish Department placed it on a special permit list. People who want the snake first have to obtain a permit from the Game and Fish Authority before they can go out into the Chiricahua Mountains and hunt one. Legitimate researchers have no trouble getting a permit, but hobbyists and private collectors are turned down. Before the permit list, you could get a preach-eye for $25. Now, some snake collectors will pay $250 and up for one. The same high price apply on the other stolen specimens? Yes, Factor said, much higher in the case of the Harris hawk, because it is a strongly prohibited species. How much higher? Oh, from $3,000 to $5,000 after it's been trained for falconry. I let out a soft whistle. You have any idea who might be pulling the thefts? Not specifically, no. It could be anybody with a working knowledge of zoology and the right or wrong contacts for disposal of the specimens. Someone connected with Fleishhacker, maybe. That's possible, but I damn well hope not. So your best guess is what? A professional at this sort of thing, Factor said. They don't usually rob large zoos like ours. There's too much risk and too much publicity. Mostly they hit small zoos or private collectors and do some poaching on the side. But it has been known to happen when they hook up with buyers who are willing to pay premium prices. Well, what makes you think it's a pro in this case? Why not an amateur or even kids out on some kind of crazy lark? Well, for one thing, the thief seemed to know exactly what he was after each time. Only expensive and endangered specimens were taken. For another thing, the locks on the building and cage doors were picked by an expert. And that's not my theory, it's the police's. You figure he'll try it again? Well, he's 4 for 4 so far, with no hassle except for the minor scare Sam Detlinger gave him. That has to make him feel pretty secure. And there are dozens more valuable prohibited specimens in the gardens. I like the odds that he'll push his luck and go for 5 straight. But so far, the thief hasn't pushed his luck. This was the 3rd night I'd been on the job and nothing had happened. Nothing had happened during my daylight investigation either. I had put out feelers all over the city, but nobody admitted to knowing anything about the zoo thefts. Nor had I been able to find out anything from any of the Fleishhacker employees I'd talked to. All the information I had on the case, in fact, had been furnished by Lawrence Factor in my office 3 days ago. If the thief was going to make another hit, I wished he would do it pretty soon and get it over with. Prowling around here in the dark and the fog and that damned icy wind waiting for something to happen was starting to get on my nerves. Even if I was being well paid, there were better ways to spend long, cold winter nights. Like curled up in a bed with a copy of Black Mask or Detective Tales or one of the other pulps in my collection. Like curled up in a bed with my lady love, Carrie Wade. I moved ahead to the near doors of the aviary and tried them to make sure they were still locked. They were. But I shone my flash on them anyway, just to be certain that they hadn't been tampered with since the last time one of us had been by. No problem there either. There were 4 of us on the grounds. Detlinger, Hammond,